All right, people, it is Sunday night. It is the last full weekend of February, and this is honestly possibly the most powerhouse lineup that I've ever brought to the Talking TV podcast. I am, of course, of Dom, the movie nerd, joined once again by two of my closest friends in my entire life, the Duster Mason, and Dontre Tarantino, DJ DeBlackio, James.
Like
Both,
that. I
both,
gotta let that go.
never gonna happen. Never gonna happen.
Gotta
Ever,
let that go.
ever,
That's
ever,
not my
ever.
DJ name, people. But
And
understand that.
And
Yeah.
we are talking tonight about the one, the only, the movie that has captured America's hearts just with the ridiculousness of the title alone. We are here to talk about Cocaine Bear, already the craziest movie of the year. All of that and more on tonight's episode of the Talking TV podcast. All right, what is going on, guys? It is Sunday night. Simultaneously, we have The Last of Us and the SAG Awards going on right now. Dustin is keeping track of the SAG Award winners as we are talking throughout this podcast. I am, again, of course, Dom, the movie nerd, Rizzy, and we are here to talk about Cocaine Bear. It's funny because when I was first going in to watch this, I thought that this was only Elizabeth Banks' second feature film, and I completely forgot that she also directed Pitch Perfect 2. I forgot that is Elizabeth Banks' directorial debut, followed by Charlie's Angels in 2019, which will hopefully only make a 5-second cameo in this podcast, and now followed by Cocaine Bear. What a filmography lineup right there, just to begin with. And now we're Dustin. I can already see you're ready to explode right now. Just like thoughts on just that in general.
Well, it's cool to see her finally. Not to spoil my thoughts completely, but at least this is a better movie for her sensibilities. I feel like not only as a director, but as an actress. Even though she's not in this movie, it feels much more in her lane to do a movie like this than in, Pitch Perfect 2 and fucking Charlie's Angels. But yeah, it's just refreshing to see her do something like this. It's odd because Phil Lord and Chris Miller were originally attached. And there was another director attached also, and yeah, it was just weird to see that happen. Yeah. But the fact that this movie was as entertaining as it was, it gives me more confidence in her career as a director, at least, because I've already liked her as an actress already for the most part. And Brendan Fraser won, by the way.
Okay, all right. That caps it. So that is honestly going to be worth discussing later on as far as his Oscar chances go. Dontre, your thoughts on Elizabeth Banks as a director in general? Because that's a like three of the most different movies you could possibly get there in a row.
I mean, to be honest, I'm shocked. I didn't know that she directed Pitch Perfect 2 and Charlie's Angels. That's how much terrible the movies probably were for me to even pay attention to. But yeah, I mean, the last thing I saw Elizabeth Banks in, like acting wise, was the Power Rangers.
I was gonna say the Power Rangers movie.
For the Power Rangers movie, she played Rita Repulsa. Honestly, I didn't think she was bad in that movie. Really, I think she kind of captured a little bit of the Rita, kind of like the jokiness, whatnot. But honestly, for this being one of like the films that I see that she directed, was pretty good. Like it was. Yeah. It seems more of her style. Like, and I want to see more of that, especially after I saw like an article that Eli sent me about how they want to make Cocaine Shark.
That's the Asylum parody version.
But I'm just like, that'd be funny. That'd be funny because that'd be like a whole new Sharknado kind of thing.
Yeah, exactly. I'm like, but the funniest thing is that's tame compared to the rest of the stuff. Did they do like the combined shark octopus, the Sharktopus movie, whatever the hell? Yeah, the less said about the Asylum, the better. We already know. We've already seen too many of those movies. But yeah, like it's kind of insane how this movie is pulled off in general. And like before we even get into the aesthetics of it all, and just as far as that goes, I wanted to talk about the first point that I think is probably the most important thing that this movie accomplished, which is that it's an original movie that works in the social media age, which is like practically impossible at this point. And I think between Megan last month and this movie this month, like varying thoughts on just the general quality of those two movies in general. But I think the common consensus that we can come to there is those are movies that were very much almost like their marketing campaigns surrounded around like social media and Twitter heavy campaigns just based around the bizarreness of their premise. And it's been working wonders. Like, I feel like these two movies are already tracking better than like half the franchise movies that are already out. Like, I feel like we've definitely gotten to the point in the whole franchise fatigueification, whatever you will, of just blockbuster filmmaking that now it's like audiences who have been begging and just seemingly unable to find all of the good, smaller independent films that have come out over the last couple of years. They are now finally starting to see a little bit of breakthrough. It's not necessarily in the super small independent route, but it's just like, just broken down to its bare bones, this is already 1,000 times more entertaining than I feel like half the movies we're about to get on the announced blockbuster slate, just in general. So, like, I wanted to get your guys' thoughts on that just in first. Like, Dontre, I want to start with you. Like, how do you think this movie, like, worked as far as just being as appealing as it is? You know, when it feels like it's so hard for any movie outside of the franchises to do that.
I mean, actually, do you want to skip me and go to Dustin real quick? Because I have to think about that. So,
Okay. I'll let you ponder for 5 minutes. Dustin, your thoughts on that?
Thoughts on what? On what kind of movie it is? Well, I just think it's funny that they made a movie about this in general because it's not the true story at all.
Right.
It kind of reminds me of Tag.
Right.
That movie Tag, which I actually really enjoyed. And yeah, that movie, if you remember it, the whole marketing of that was like, oh, it's based off a true story.
Right.
Yeah. It was about it was like 10 white guys in real life that just play like harmless games of tag. It had nothing to do with like a wedding or like faking an abortion. They turned that movie into like a dark comedy based off this harmless true story little thing. In real life, in reality, this cocaine bear ate or consumed this cocaine and died.
Yeah.
It didn't murder anybody. It didn't go on a rampage. So for them to make like a weird B movie throwback and really stick the landing, in my opinion, is kind of commendable. And Elizabeth Banks did a confident job with this movie. There's not much to say overall about the movie because it's not a deep movie, but it's fun, it's entertaining, it's bloody, and it's just cool that they made a movie in this age for, you know, the social media people. The fact that this movie is getting a lot of backlash now for delivering what it promised, and they're just calling it stupid, and like that's the point. Like, it's supposed to be simplicity, it's supposed to be a good time, and I thought it was.
Well, just like ignoring the backlash just in general. It's like, I mean, obviously we always talk about it. It's like, okay, if there's one easy way to appeal to just like people our age as far as like movies that we like really like, have the most ridiculous, out there, outlandish premise you could possibly have, you know, like Megan. The cool thing about that movie was it's like, okay, it's a killer doll that like does TikTok dances and like kills people, but also doubles as like an AI, and it basically becomes Ultron at the end. Like, that movie is ridiculous, but the fact that it accomplishes all of that, and Blumhouse's marketing campaign is one of the greatest marketing campaigns I've ever seen for any movie recently. It's like everybody was going to see that movie, you know, and they were going to see it when it came out. And I feel like, while this marketing campaign wasn't as aggressive, I still saw like points in there where I'm like, okay, this is a movie that like a lot of people are going to see just because of like what they're seeing on TikTok and what they are seeing on Twitter and what they are seeing just in general about like, what the hell? How is a bear chasing and jumping into the back of an ambulance? there was a scene in this movie where the bear turns into Jason from fucking what's it? Oh my
Friday the 13th.
Thank you. I just completely brain farted there. From Friday the 13th, reaches, like, jams its paw inside of a cabin and rips a guy. And like, what the hell am I watching at points like this? But like, again, there's nobody I feel like that wasn't going to not watch this movie. Dontre, your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I mean, like, that's another thing too. Like, I didn't see many marketing for this movie, but again, like, the fact that it was still captivating people to go and like see this movie, because it's like, what could they come up with? Like, it's a bear doing cocaine, and just from the promos, it's just like the bear's just doing wild shit. Now, in the actual movie, the deaths was wild,
crazy.
They were insane. I think the park ranger got it the worst.
Oh yeah.
Because she got killed, like got fucked up multiple times throughout the movie. And, you know, it was like that bear headed out for that fucking part.
Right?
But like overall,
and as Margo Martindale herself commented, the first time she's ever done an action movie, and that's what she has to go through.
Yeah, bro, like, that's
I guess
up.
so. Yeah.
And then, you know, it's just like, again, like, I think they did a really good job. The fact that this movie, like Dustin was saying, like the fact this movie is receiving backlash is just wild to me.
Yeah, but I mean,
I
chalk that up to just every movie in general. Just like, if it's mildly like popular and entertaining and actually is daring, it's gonna get backlash of some kind. I've just chalked it up to that. It's like a
film where it's like, oh, it's not everyone's cup of tea. Like, yo, turn your brain off, go see the movie, and just like sit down and have a fucking laugh.
Yeah, why did you see a movie called Cocaine Bear?
Right, it's literally
be a snob
in the title.
About it.
Like,
don't be a snob about Cocaine Bear. But like, it would have been one thing if this movie sucked, and it didn't deliver on the kills and the humor and the care. And like, there's good actors in this movie, So
Yeah.
there's not much to the characters, but they bring their personalities individually to the movie,
Yes.
as we'll get into. But this is a fun fucking movie. I don't know why people have a stick up their ass.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't care. Yeah, this movie, it's my number one of the year already. Like, I had such a blast with this movie. For the moment it starts with, like, the fucking, when Matthew Reeves doing coke on the plane and he is about to jump out and fucking.
I just want to say, the opening credits is obviously an homage to a film Elizabeth Banks was in Wet Hot American Summer.
Absolutely, yes.
Which is great.
I caught that.
Like the song in the beginning, that was a perfect touch for this movie.
Yes,
The soundtrack
absolutely.
in general,
Kicked ass.
Pretty good.
And I'm like,
Good soundtrack. Yeah.
And Mark Motherbaugh, his score, it was really very, very good as well.
Yes, I agree. Coming from, I don't think he did Love and Thunder, but coming from Thor Ragnarok as well.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So starting from that and then going into the opening credits with the Wikipedia quotes in order to like just continue to like amp up the ridiculousness of it. Going to the, quite frankly, that gruesome opening scene with Tormund Giantsbane, and I love too how they like establishing immediately, like, again, just with Dontre, we learned this in film school, the whole idea of like just capturing somebody within the first couple of moments of the movie, within the first couple of pages of that script. You have to lock it in. And like, I can't think of a better instance, at least so far this year, as far as something that just locked me in instantaneously, where it is just this bear fucking slamming its head on a tree and like humping it or whatever the hell it's doing, and then immediately going for these two Swedish tours, and then they flip the script and it goes and eats the girl, and it's just like classic movie making. The general consensus that I came to about this is that it's just the perfect blending of two genres, which again is what I feel like a lot of really good indie movies just throughout the 2010s in general did, is they were taking a lot of like very familiar known genres and merging them together, and like it gave us some really cool stuff. And I think this is honestly the next instance of it, as ridiculous as it is, because it combines like this backwoods Coen Brothers-esque sleepy Southern comedy with this gruesome creature feature that like feels more at home with something like in the 80s, like, and it manages to blend those two genres seamlessly. I mean, like Dustin, you can talk more about that if you want, but like, yeah, like this movie seamlessly blended in genres that it covered.
I think it did a good job blending the tones. I don't think this movie's going to win Best Picture next year or should get nominated, but it was a fucking blast when it wanted to be. And it, like I said, the kills. We can't stress this enough, people. The kills deliver. And I don't. There's another thing about the controversy. Is like, what were people expecting? A Coen Brothers movie with this? Right. It's just like, did they really like? I bet the Coen Brothers wouldn't have done that much better of a job with this material anyway. It's just a fun little throwback 90s, 80s movie, you know? And I meant to say miscarriage before. She faked a miscarriage,
right?
Not an abortion and tag.
Yeah, that was
that's been on the back of my mind. Yeah. But other than that, this was just a fun movie. Are we going to talk about the cast at all?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it's like the thing about the cast of this movie is it's like I think Ray Liotta is the biggest star in this movie. It's all like character actors and TV stars. Like, it's Ice Cube's son, it's Alden Ehrenreich, who it's been a couple years since Solo, you know, and that kind of like didn't work. Keri Russell from The Americans.
The girl from Florida Project.
The girl from Florida Project, who is now like a preteen, you know, like it's one of the Isiah Whitlock Jr. and Clay Davis from The Wire. Like you got all these guys together. Oh, and also how can I forget Jesse Tyler Ferguson? I don't know, like that one was one where I didn't even recognize him because he definitely put on some pounds and fucking had the worst wig on that I've ever seen. And I'm like, wait, what? Jesse Tyler Ferguson? And then the way they did, I'm like, Jesus Christ, like this movie is not fucking around. But I want to give a shout out in particular to the blonde kid who played Brooklyn Prince's friend, Christian Covery, I think that actor's name is. Like, that kid was just on point with every one of his lines that he said in the movie. It was a good cast, honestly.
He was
like,
good.
It's already my favorite ensemble cast of the year. Like, it's going to be hard to top this one.
I don't think there was a weak performance in the movie.
Yeah, I don't think so at all.
I don't think there was. I think it was actually a strong, solid cast.
Yeah,
everyone was delivering. My favorites, if I had to choose favorites, Alden Ehrenreich was great. Yes. I thought he brought like something different to a character like this. I didn't think it was that typical of a character. Just as soon as we're introduced to him, it's just like, okay, so he's the son of the mob or the drug lord or whatever
Right.
that Ray Liotta plays, but he's just like suicidally depressed because his wife died of cancer, and he's just like taking his son, like taking a break from his son and giving it to his dad, and he's just aimlessly just. I don't know what he's doing. They never established that. Is he crying? Is he just like drinking alone all the time? It's just, he's just abandoning his son like that.
Plain Penne, nothing on it.
Yeah, and O'Shea Jackson as his friend, who's just getting attacked more by people than he is the bear. This whole movie.
That was the funny part.
Yeah, that was actually funny, and he's always great. He hasn't given a bad performance in anything yet either. So like, I always like seeing him. Keri Russell's always solid, and as far as the kids go, yeah, I like. This is a hot take. I like the girl in this way more than I did in Florida Project.
Well, she's obviously she's grown up a lot. Like it was just weird seeing her.
I thought she was better in this. Yeah, I just thought she was just more believable and less annoying in this. The biggest problem I have with this movie and why it's like takes like a chunk away from the score for me is because they take cocaine in the movie, the two kids. That's the biggest plot hole in the movie.
Funny about that?
And they do nothing with it.
Yeah, I was literally talking about that with my two roommates who I saw it with last night. And they actually brought that up, and it didn't really click with me until later on. And I'm like, oh shit, you're right. Like everybody that did cocaine in this movie, except for the bears, like was just seemingly not affected by it at all. Like, and there were like a decent amount of people who did. I feel like.
No, I feel like I actually disagree with that because when Tyler Ferguson gets
you know what, you're right.
You can kind of tell that he's actually giving a shit and like trying to act like he's on cocaine. They don't even try that with the kids. No. And it's in real life, it either would have been like. Not even in just real life. In real life, they would have died if they taken that like orally, like a tablespoon. They say in the movie. As soon as they said that, I was like, "What? Are they really doing this?" And they do it. They actually, they would have died absolutely in real life. But any other movie would have just had them like actually be coked out in a scene, and the movie just never did that.
They never touched it.
It did what Good Boys didn't do, in which they didn't have them do the Molly in that movie, but they did the cocaine in this, but they have no payoff to that. She's just like away in a cave the entire movie, Brooklyn Prince.
Right.
And the other kid is just energetic, but he's not like coked up energetic. He's like scared for his life energetic. I thought that was a huge discrepancy I had with this movie's logic, and that's my biggest flaw with it. But other than that, I really liked it.
Because it makes it seem like the kids, like I guess, blew it off, because they were being scared the entire time, and I was just like, no, they would have died.
They would have absolutely died.
Like that's a whole knife blade of that. They took that to the face, and I'm just like.
And it could have gone down her throat. Like there was one point where they said, like, my throat is like all swelling up and weird. I was like, yeah, you're gonna die, right? No,
you're gonna die,
they don't. No, they don't. For some reason,
that's a good point. That's a valid point to bring up. Yeah.
I was thinking that the whole rest of the movie, but it was fun. Like if this movie sucked, I would have thought about that and never forgiven it. But it actually delivered on everything else,
right?
And I was fine with it. And they had a compelling enough characters for this kind of movie, so it didn't bother me fatally. Yeah, like it should have the kids.
Yeah, I don't know. I guess it's just the point where it's like the kids were used sparingly enough. Like once the blonde kid came back into the scene, like after the tree scene, which we'll get into once we talk about the kills. Which that alone, it's like was insane. But yeah, it's like, and the fact that it's like they're used so sparingly throughout the rest of the movie, because the second half of the movie pretty much only focuses on O'Shea Jackson and Alden Ehrenreich and their misadventures, that like it kind of like drifts away from the mind. But like the biggest thing for me is it's funny that you say that about the kids, because I had that exact same thought about the cubs at the end when the bear cubs are getting into all the coke, and I'm like, I mean, it's already crazy enough that the mom black bear, and the fact of how they revealed that it was a female, is one of the funniest parts of the entire movie.
Yeah.
But like the fucking, like when the cubs are getting into the cocaine at the end, and I'm like, how the hell are these cubs still alive? And like, how are they not tearing Ray Liotta shreds? Like, I mean, like they were like playing around with him, and that was the only predictable part of the movie where I'm like, okay, they're clearly setting this up for like a Lost World thing. The mom's gonna trap him, and then she's gonna let the kids eat him. And like the fact that like they were all over him and like ripping him to shreds, that was a plot hole for me. But like by the end, they were at the end, and it's like, okay, we got to wrap this thing up,
there was like a consistency problem also with like the bear and like it would like attack people
Right.
that had the cocaine on them. Like this movie really pussied out with that moment with like the bear going up the tree with the kid.
Yeah.
And then it goes over to Jesse Tyler Ferguson because he has the cocaine on him.
Right.
But also the kid had cocaine remnants on him too. He had to have had
Right.
some.
Yeah. It was
Like,
very inconsistent with
took
that.
it to the mouth and then he coughed it all up
Yeah.
everywhere. And there has to be remnants of it still. Like I don't care
my
how
only
long.
possible solution that I can think of to that is that because you got to assume that again there is cocaine spread because of like how it's been spread out all over the place, like all over the fucking place, and like the bear's been like getting into it like crazy, so it's spread all over the place. So my assumption would be that it's attracted to wherever there are larger quantities of it because it's more concentrated because there's more of it, so it can smell more of it. That would be my guess as far as that goes, because like I mean I don't know, Dontre, am I like onto something here or?
I mean, sorry, I mean like that is a huge inconsistency because when you look at Osage Jackson Jr.'s character, he had a brick in his back pocket.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
So it's like, why not go after him, especially in like at the gazebos part?
Right.
It was like, why not go after him instead of just going after like random people?
Well, the gazebo part, I'm assuming it was coming down from the high.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then it got re-high again.
And then it got re-high. It kept getting high on and off, on and off. And it's like, and that kind of also honestly brings me to my second point, which we've been circling around a little bit, which is the ridiculousness of the premise and the liberties that they took. Because it's almost like, because again, Dustin, you hit the mark on you hit the nail on the head before when you're saying like, yeah, the true story is
none of this happened.
None of this happened. None of this happened. A bunch of cocaine fell into the woods. The bear found it. It ate it. It died.
None of these people existed, except the pilot.
Right.
The pilot existed. That's a real guy.
Yeah.
But other than that, no one existed. This bear, was it even a female bear? Who knows?
Right.
This had no cubs. It's it's just a fun movie.
So what this is, so we have to stress this because a lot of people are going to fall for the base of the true story elements, understandably so.
Yeah.
We have to specify that this is not at all a true story. This is a fictionalized monster movie centered around a outlandish premise that borrowed the title from a real life event. That is what this is. But with that being said, this is also the perfect way to get people to watch this movie because again, who isn't going to watch a movie about a cocaine-fueled bear mauling a bunch of idiots thinking that it could potentially be real? It's worked many, many times in the past. Look at Blair Witch Project. That's the entire premise of their marketing campaign. Different fad, but kind of same.
What
same
about
technique.
The Meg?
That too.
The Meg,
yeah. The Meg had a great campaign. Had an absolutely great campaign. And like the reason why I constantly like keep harping back on this point is because it's very rare in this age of streaming and in this age of where everyone is starving for original stuff, but they don't know where to find it because it's all going to streaming and it's all cluttered and you never know where to look. So you constantly just resort back to, the familiar stuff that you're used to. It's become increasingly more and more difficult to find this stuff. And it's become even more increasingly difficult for them to open wide in theaters. So the fact that whenever something like this works and it's just marginally successful across all of the different quadrants, which this one is for sure, it's like that's the time where we really got to celebrate, and the fact that like that's ultimately what makes this work is just how inherently ridiculous this is. You've got a bear fucking like climbing up trees, ripping up arms off of people, like oh my god, like the scene at the end with the fucking eating his guts. I was like, okay, so this just went full on monster movie, American Werewolf in London. Like I like. Also, can we comment on the fact that like some of they finally like perfected CG gore because they've been like using CG gore for a long time, and a lot of times they try to use it in like realistic movies, quote unquote. Like whenever they use it in the Expendables, it looks fake as shit. It's like it's ironic because the Expendables, which is like an awesome like crazy action movie, the most the worst part about it is the actual violence itself.
Yeah,
it looks fake as shit.
Gore, kind of familiarity from like the Stranger Things, kind of the same way. I got that same kind of sense of feeling with the gore aspect from, but I think they did it well. It wasn't too bloody. It wasn't too it was outlandish for sure, but it wasn't too like out of pocket. Like, okay, let's be real. Like the bear scratched this person, pools of blood everywhere. It was not that serious.
If you want to talk about more inconsistent things, like it scratches Margo Martindale's ass, she limps all the way back to the cabin, and then like she still somehow survives. Like it was like playing with her, but everybody else like took out with like one shot.
Sure, yeah. No, it was just like.
But what do you guys think of the like the kids those other kids that were like robbing and like stealing.
The idiots that O'Shea Jackson beat up in the bathroom.
Yeah, I like that one kid. He was funny.
The one kid in the yellow shirt was good.
Yeah,
because
he was
like
funny.
because he like went on the journey and he like actually had some good lines. But the other two were just cannon fodder. They were just there to be killed. And the one had the funniest death in the whole movie when Margo Martindale shoots him completely on accident.
I didn't see that coming.
Especially how they framed it, like with the bear once it rolled out of frame, and then I'm like, oh my god, like that was like Dontre. You talked about the shot, and you know what sequence I'm talking about, the one in Extraction, and you were like, you told me you're like, you got to watch that movie because just to see how the Russo brothers pulled off that camera movement, like that effect that they use with the shoot, like that's something that I'm like, I gotta figure out like how they pulled that off because that is insane.
All one take, like it was like, like that was insane. But this like them, I did not expect the bear at the door just like they're playing,
right? And
then he just gets his head blown off, and I'm just like,
yeah,
where did that come from? And I was like, you're a terrible shot. But like, that was funny. But like, I mean, even towards the end of the movie, like my biggest thing was like, I was like, what? All right, wrap this up, please. When they shot the bear. Ray Liotta's character shot the bear, and the bear falls down.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, the coke hits the bear.
The coke hits the bear.
And like the bear's like, yeah, it's over now.
Yeah.
And gets up and just cooks him. I'm like,
it's the coke dust. The coke dust that like sweeps down, and then you could it's already dead, right? And then it can still inhale like.
And then it spits the bullet out.
Okay, yeah.
It spits the bullet out. The bullet was shot in the chest.
Yeah.
And it somehow like spits the bullet out.
That's
like,
right.
That's what I'm like, okay, this bear is literally a supervillain now. This is not just any regular bear. This bear is literally a supervillain. This is like a Roland Emmerich. I'm saying like it literally turns into Jason. Or a hero. Either or. Take your pick because it was what it did with Ray Liotta at the end. And like I love the fact too. Like, we got to talk about the fact that, okay, first off, can we stop saying that this is Ray Liotta's final performance? He's filmed other stuff. There is more stuff coming out with him that is set to be released later this year and into next year. But, like, the fact that everyone is going out of their way and say, like, oh, this is, in memory, like, obviously, they're going to put in memoriam because Ray Liotta, died suddenly. But, like, the fact that, like, it's kind of just like a goofy monster movie that he's just in. But like everyone is praising him for giving this incredible performance. Like I don't know. There's some.
He's in the movie for like 15 minutes.
Not even. It's like 10.
Not 10 minutes. 5. It's barely 5.
Right.
But yeah, he's good. Like, he's
always good.
It's
I don't think in particular like stands out incredibly well, but like he gives a good performance. Yeah. Yeah. No, for me, the standouts are Alden Ehrenreich, Christian Covery as the kid. And I did enjoy Margo Martindale for her short period of time because like she was just so committed to that part and that bit. And just like the fact that like the movie just chose her as the punching bag character. And then it resulted in one of the best sequences that I already of the year, which is that whole ambulance chase just in general. And then the bear the EMT Dontre, when he slid forward, the hand falls off, and then the bear is eating it right next to her, and the crash is coming, and you know exactly what's gonna happen once you see the tree. But like, oh man,
the crazy part is like if she didn't hit that tree, she kind of would have lived. She'd have been knocked out for sure. She'd kind of lived, maybe the 15% chance, but like in this movie, no, they had to kill her too. Like there was left. No standing. And then like the crazy part is like at the end where you see like the family like walking away and the cops finally get there.
Yeah.
And they
just gotta like drive around the ambulance and there's another ambulance behind them.
And then just like looking at everything and like the questions that would come into my head as a cop, just what the fuck? Just I'm questioning them, bro. You're walking away from that.
Yeah, and who called them also?
Right. Who knows?
Like, how do they even know about anything?
Oh, no, the cop.
Oh, the
female
cop. That's right.
Yeah.
Who's dirty also.
Right. Who is dirty and walks away clean. Like
what?
Is that the first time that's ever happened? Has any dirty cop ever walked away from any situation in a movie clean before?
No, because the bear's dead. or the guy.
No, it's not. The bear's not dead.
The bear is dead.
Yeah.
Bear's not dead. The Cubs
I feel like there has been
Cocaine Bear 2. It's already going to happen. And this time there's 3 of them. There's 3 cocaine bears now. Dontre.
Or it's the Cubs that are raised up now. Yeah.
Exactly. It's the Cubs that are raised up. And now they've done so much cocaine that they can speak. And they become like the talking rappers from the How It Should Have Ended segment. Right. Tell me the Asylum wouldn't make that movie. Tell me the Asylum would not make that. That's what Vin Diesel will do next after he's done with his next 2 Fast and Furious movies.
The new one looks all right. It's all right. You know I'm hot and cold with those movies.
I know, but like
that looks all right.
Dustin, that's the greatest take already. That's your take of the year already.
Yeah.
That's oh my god, that's
right.
amazing.
I don't think it looks great, but it looks all right. Looks
Okay, moving on.
Yeah.
So we talked
in a car.
Listen, man, I'm convinced that Charlize Theron and Michelle Rodriguez are switching consciousnesses when they're on that table in the white clothes. Tell me that's not something that Vin Diesel would just throw out there. Tell me that's not something he wouldn't do.
Hope not.
That's not family. Sorry.
Yeah,
Right.
Not family.
No, that's right. They're not family. But like we got John Cena. Can we talk about the fact that we got John Cena and Jason Statham in this movie for a second? We kind of got off track there, but like he activated my Fast and Furious trap.
Oh yeah, they're all cool with Statham now.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh,
and like
funny.
they still didn't explain how he's got a guy sewed inside of a punching bag that he's using as a literal punching bag. Like that was before Han shows up. That was literally too much in that. But yeah, going back to Cocaine Bear, like it's kind of funny to me, just in general, how like again, like because if this movie comes out like 10, 15 years ago, I feel like this is just one of like a bunch of different like goofy comedies that all come out with like the extended bloody genre. But it's like because we are just like so starved for just in general for like original anything, you know, because almost all of it is on streaming now, specifically in TV form, you know, like we very rarely get movies now. Movies have literally kind of become like these one-off events to celebrate, you know, when they get all this hype and all this buzz and all this social media attention, and then it evaporates until like kind of the next one comes out, you know, and there's like always like a varying certain amount per year. And just like the fact that this one can pull it off it's like kind of amazing. Like Dontre, I feel like the closest thing that I can equate it to from last year's Bullet Train, I feel like is the one that comes to me where it's like, Bullet Train, it's an original movie with a stacked ensemble cast, you know, it's got enough familiar people, it does reasonably well in theaters, and then has this huge boom when it hits social media, you know, like, but like that still kind of had the same idea as far as just like, you know, the ridiculously insane premise.
I think another social media movie, again, Don't Look Up. You know, that kind of plays a lot on like the whole way how like Trump handled the COVID situation, you know, just kind of like, oh, it wasn't real. But again, I think that's another social media movie that, you know, that we all definitely needed. And, you know, that I couldn't imagine if that would have went to movie theaters as well, but like that went straight to streaming.
Oh, I saw that in theaters, actually. It went, I saw it a week before it hit streaming.
Right. For Netflix, they always have to put their movies in theaters for like at least 2 weeks in order to qualify for awards run. And that's how they got it. Yeah. They've done that for their Oscar movies every year. And like I said, Don't Look Up was their big gamble that year. Because that gets into Netflix, and that they're like basically like some of the originators of how they push movies through streaming, you know? Yeah. And it's interesting because like the conflict between theaters and streaming has always been kind of curious as far as how they utilize the algorithm, because that's kind of like their base method, because there's still a lot of people who watch traditional commercials, but that number is dropping year by year as more and more people convert entirely to streaming. You know, you also have just it's always interesting to see like people who primarily don't live their entire lives on social media versus people who do, as far as like what forms of entertainment kind of appeal to them and what hits that overall target bracket, for lack of better words. I feel like I'm a movie analyst talking about this stuff right now, but I mean, just as far as like this movie kind of hitting all of the quadrants, like again, like there's going to be very, very few people who don't hear this weekend about it's like, wow, a bear who eats cocaine and kills people. I think that's something I'll definitely go see.
I just don't understand where in the realm that you can sit down and just heavily criticize this movie for being like terrible. You're just a moron. Just turn your brain off. Just turn your brain off and sit down and watch the movie. It's a bear who consumes a copious amount of cocaine at that, and just goes on a rampage. I'm pretty sure like also, like, another thing is, like, if no one, like, I don't think really anyone antagonized the bear. The bear was just Black Force energy the entire realm of the film. Like, there was no moments where, like, unless you didn't have cocaine on you, you were fine by the bear. Like, right. Fine. But, like,
except for the couple in the beginning. They're the only ones.
That's what I mean, inconsistent.
Yeah, like, it's
there's some inconsistencies that you can poke into this movie, but if you have fun with it, which you can, and I just feel like the direction is just really confident and relaxed and just knows what it's going for. And it, like I said, I can't reiterate this enough, but she does have promise as a genre filmmaker like this. I feel like the shot you guys were describing before of Margo Martindale, like that's a really well done and executed shot.
Yeah.
No pun intended. But yes, it's very, 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 very well done, especially for a third feature. Like it's a good, well-directed genre movie.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah, couldn't agree more. Absolutely. So, with that being said, Dustin, you wanted to talk about The Whale for a bit. And since Brendan Fraser has now just officially won the SAG award for The Whale, so you finally got a chance to see it. You know, you didn't get a chance to see it back in December when it originally came out. So you finally got a chance to see it, and your thoughts on it.
All right, just FYI to the viewers, all right? I didn't care if this movie would have leaked in cam quality. This is the first movie in the history of forever that never leaked until like the HD rip finally leaked. It's never leaked. There was no screener link or anything. So I couldn't see this movie until like a week ago or whatever, or whenever I saw it. It's painfully mediocre. It's borderline bad. If the performances of Brendan Fraser, Hong Chow, and Samantha Morton weren't featured, this would have been either not made or complete horseshit, because it's just borderline self-parody. It doesn't even feel like a movie about obesity. It feels like a movie about depression trying to be a movie about obesity. And if that's the case, then it's kind of offensive to fat people in that regard, where it kind of shows just copious amounts of binge eating, and just it's unintentionally funny at points the way it's directed and shot at. But then in the beginning of the movie, I feel like Aronofsky does a good job setting up the setting a lot. And I even though it's based off a play, you can definitely feel that in the movie.
Yeah, the one setting definitely kind of sets the tone there.
And it was shot in Beacon also.
Yes, it was. Yes, it was.
Yeah, which is close to us. And yes, I enjoyed the staging of the movie. It was well shot and everything, but there's just major tone issues, and the Sadie Sink character is just misguided.
You want to talk about
a lot of ways.
You want to talk about inconsistent right there.
Yeah, talk about a character they're trying to masquerade as like some amazing person. She's the most sociopathic character I've ever seen in a movie, I think. Well, at least recently. Like, it's Evan Rachel Wood's daughter character in The Wrestler. This movie's like The Wrestler, but it's bad. Like, it's just a bad version of The Wrestler. It has like a comeback performance in The Helm, too, which is even more ironic. And it would be even more ironic if he lost or won the Oscar, because Mickey Rourke deserved the Oscar, in my opinion, that year over Sean Penn. But it's just super confused, like how they write that character, the daughter character, because the whole movie Brendan Fraser's like, you're amazing, and they just can't handle how amazing you are, and she's just posting to no one on Facebook, look at my fat piece of shit dad, I hope there's a grease fire in hell when he gets there. And it's like, all right, what's wrong with it? And
I can verify that those are all
alert,
lines, all things that she says in this.
Yeah,
I
haven't seen the movie, so it was like, but yeah, so it's like,
spoiler alert. I'm gonna spoil the fuck out of this, Dontre.
You were aware though of this movie's existence beforehand, though, right?
Yeah. He, like, literally, he's about to die, and like one of the last things she says is, "I hate you. I don't give a shit that you're dying." And it's like, oh my god. This is beyond like a moody teenager character. This is just a badly written teenage character.
Yeah.
Like, it's not as bad as the character in The Son, the Hugh Jackman movie, which is way worse. Way worse.
Oh man.
But that's another
I heard
topic.
some bad things. I heard some bad things about that movie.
Sticking to The Whale, it's a shame that Sadie Sink is given a role this awful and shallow, because she's very talented and she definitely elevates the material, because it's not a bad performance. I don't think it's a bad performance. I don't think she's given a bad performance yet. Yeah. But even on Stranger Things, when I don't agree with the material a lot of the time, I do think she's always on point with her performance. And I think she shows a lot of promise. But like, yeah, this character was just a nightmare to get through. And Hong Chow was very good, and I loved Samantha Morton in it. I thought Samantha Morton really, her scene was maybe my favorite scene of the movie. Like, she brought a lot of levity to it. She was the only character who, to me, besides Hong Chow a little bit, she didn't get enough reactions, appropriate reactions to Brendan Fraser. But Samantha Morton like tells Brendan Fraser what Sadie Sink's doing online, and ridicules them and talks a bunch of shit, and she's a sociopath. And he's like, she's amazing and she's a good writer. And she's like, That's your reaction? Like that was the moment of the movie for me. And honestly, the end of this movie is just honestly like a fuck you, pretentious piece of shit. Like, get the fuck out of my face with this. Like, it had flashes of like the Mother ending for me, like, it's a movie I definitely hated more than this, because I love some of the performances in this. It's the material that sucked, but the ending shot is so insulting and just borderline surreal, because it's just it feels like a shot out of a completely different movie almost.
Yeah,
the way it just goes for the floating and like they actually did CGI for this movie. It's like, this movie is a train wreck. I don't want Brendan Fraser to win an Oscar for this. I think he was very good in this movie, and it's a better performance than this movie deserves. But give it to Austin Butler. He gave the best performance of that category this year. I can't believe I'm saying that. Give the award to the guy that used to fuck Vanessa Hudgens hundreds of times. He deserves it, okay? He deserves it. More respectful performance. More respectful to Elvis than this performance was to fat people, unintentionally or not. I'm sorry. 2 out of 5. I was bordering on 2.5. 2 out of 5 for The Whale. 3.5 out of 5 for Cocaine Bear. A strong 3.5. I might bump it up to a 4 once I rewatch it.
Yeah, I'll say this about The Whale. I had a giant problem with almost how they were like glorifying the fact that, like, wow, this dude is literally eating himself to death. Like, I'm not like that. Yeah. I was literally thinking that. I'm like,
all right, one more point that I have that was a big flaw with this movie is that he has the money. They established that he has the money to go and get medical services, and he just does it because he's given up in his life, and he just doesn't want
given
to.
up. He is just waiting to die. This whole movie is about him waiting to die.
And he's telling everyone else in the movie, "Oh, you're so full of potential. His daughter is so full of potential." The kid from Iowa who's in the movie for no reason. That's the dumbest, most pointless fucking character in this movie.
Played once again by Ty Simpkins, who is now somehow 21 and aged like 15 years in the course of like 5.
Yeah, and we're supposed to believe that like she snitches on him for his own good. And no, she was just trying to get him in trouble, and like they're gonna kick his ass when he gets home. He stole a lot of money from them. Other than that, let's go back to Cocaine Bear.
And that was Dustin's. I don't even know how long that was. I think it was like 10 minutes on The Whale. Yeah, I'm glad you finally got a chance to see it. Yeah, it was one of those movies where it's like when I walked out of it, I'm like, unfortunately, it kind of falls victim to what Corey Coleman on Double Toasted and formerly of Spill calls like that movie, the awards bait movie, where it's like people at like film festivals go nuts for it and hype it up, and then it comes out, and we the regular folk are like, what the hell is this? Is this pretentious bullshit? And that's kind of the way I felt. It was not nearly as egregious as Mother, but like after watching it and after like coming to think about it for a while, I'm like, this movie is pretty emotionally manipulative, but like not in a way that's like enjoyable at all. You know, I'm like, it's just sad people porn, and I'm like, there's only so much of that I can do. Thankfully, it's only an hour and a half. It's not 2 hours, which is nice.
And you can make the argument that The Wrestler is also kind of like misery porn. You know what I mean? Like, it is like a similar trajectory in the storylines. But that movie works. That movie just works. It has better direction. It has a more thoughtful script, better dialogue, more realistic performances, realistic characters, a better through line, a better, more realistic falling off with the daughter character played by a shittier Evan Rachel Wood, but that's another story. But like that movie just was better. It was just a better version of this bullshit. It's just,
Yeah. Don, have you seen The Wrestler?
He eats pizza and Snickers together. It's like, what is this movie?
Yeah. And like the most disgusting looking pizza possible. And it's like, dude, I know you could order better pizza than that if you're in the area that I think you're in. Like
better pizza at Papa John's, right?
Well, because what is it supposed to be set in? Like it's supposed to be set in what? Like Iowa or some remote like
Ohio.
It's
set in Ohio, but it's set in Beacon, and he could definitely get better pizza.
Right, if it's at Beacon, like we know we can get good pizza there. There's some great spots there. Just in general. But yeah, so Dontre, sorry for ruining The Whale for you if you ever had any want or appeal to see that movie.
So I saw like a clip of it on TikTok, and it was like, I guess the part with like, I guess this essay.
Yeah.
He wrote like when she was younger, and he was like, it's a good piece of work. And I'm just like,
what?
Swiped up. I was like, I don't know. So I was like, I saw that, and I was like, okay, Brendan Fraser's not that fat. It's just CG fat suit.
Yeah.
It's also telling that they didn't show like any footage in the marketing for this movie.
Right.
They like barely literally the image of the poster is just him going.
Yeah.
Like it's just that's the whole marketing for the movie. It was just like, see Brendan Fraser as a fat fuck, and it's like, okay, what? This is
I
a
can't see
sad
anybody on
movie.
that.
It's super sad. It's a great performance, but it's just an emotionally hollow movie that just
I can see that.
Yeah, an emotionally hollow, emotionally manipulative movie, just overall. So, Dustin, with that being said, as far as Oscar chances going forward, so you said Fraser won Best Actor. Who were the other three winners for?
For SAG?
Yeah.
Well, I don't know. I didn't keep track ever since the Fraser win. Sorry, but Fraser won. Michelle Yeoh won over Cate Blanchett.
Interesting.
And also Ke Quan won, obviously, and Jamie Lee Curtis won.
That's slightly depressing. But
yeah,
the Michelle Yeoh win, that's interesting. It's funny because
I'm going to safely assume that it won cast as well. So.
I'll have to check that out later. We obviously know White Lotus won TV cast as well, and we'll check back with the TV winners later. But for now,
I can tell you those.
Oh yeah.
I know those. Coolidge won for actress drama.
Okay.
Bateman won for actor drama.
Okay.
And then Jeremy Allen White won. Gene Smart won, and then Abbott Elementary won, and White Lotus won. Yeah.
Got it. Okay, that makes
that's
that
pretty
makes
much
sense for all of
that's
them.
pretty much the winners.
Yeah, that makes sense for all of them. But yeah, so Michelle Yeoh winning, that raises a sneaky suspicion that I had, because it's like, I had a feeling that they were going to do this with the momentum that Everything Everywhere had versus Tar, which is pretty much just riding on the coattails of Blanchett. And I'm like, I had a feeling, I'm like they could push Michelle Yeoh forward. Now I still don't think this ruins Cate Blanchett's chances. No. But with that being said, that's a pretty significant thing though. And this further solidifies, because this is what, the 4th or 5th award that Ke Huy Quan's won so far from Everything Everywhere. You know,
he's got it in the bag.
Yeah,
he's J.K. Simmons. He's Brad Pitt. Like exactly. He's all those sweepers. He's Bardem. He's all of those.
Can we just go over that track record? So let's start. Let's say at Javier Bardem, which is when that category gets really awesome. Javier Bardem, Ledger, obviously legendary. Christoph Waltz, legendary.
Sweeper.
Christian
Bale, sweep.
The fighter. And then it gets weird for a couple weeks. So you got Christopher Plummer for beginners.
Sweep.
Really? That was a sweep too.
He was sweeping everywhere. Yeah.
Okay. Christoph Waltz, Django. That was a sweep. Wait.
No.
Oh, that wasn't.
No, I don't believe that was a sweep everywhere, but because remember, he was like borderline lead for that. A lot of people thought so. I don't believe he was a sweep for that. I don't think he won everywhere. His win was kind of surprising, I believe.
Okay,
but continue.
Then Jared Leto, Dallas Buyers Club,
sweep.
The big thing there also was Jonah getting in after having no previous nominations.
Exactly, but Jared was sweeping.
Yeah, J.K. Simmons sweep.
Yeah.
What's it called? Then after that,
it was Mark Rylance.
Mark Rylance, which is kind of a surprise win because everyone was banking on Stallone that year. Yes. Then you get Mahershala Ali Moonlight, which is a sweep.
Pretty much.
What's it called? Rockwell for 3 Billboards.
No, Aaron Taylor Johnson won that year.
But just the Golden Globe.
The
Golden Globe.
Sure.
Ali won everything else.
Yeah, sure.
And then you get to what? So then it's Sam Rockwell. I feel like that was a sweep. He won. If memory serves, he won a lot.
Yeah, he swept. Yeah, he did.
Yeah.
And Ali swept for Green Book, I believe.
Yes.
Did he win the BAFTA for Moonlight? Are you sure about that?
I don't think so. I may have to check about that. I may have to check on that, but I don't remember. And then 2019 Brad Pitt, that's a sweep. And then the previous next 2 years, Kaluuya, sweep, and last year was Troy Kotzer, who pretty much swept everything. So yeah,
pretty much.
So just that track record. So the 3 winners so far for this new decade are going to be Daniel Kaluuya, Troy Kotzer, and Ke Huy Quan. That's an interesting 3 to get us started as far as the supporting actor Oscar winners right there. It's going to be an entertaining Oscars for sure. Again, it's the fact that like we have the 2 biggest blockbusters of last year, Top Gun Maverick and Avatar: The Way of Water, both nominated for Best Picture, which, Dontre, I know Avatar in particular makes you so happy for that getting nominated. If you want to give just 10 minutes on that.
No, not even Avatar. I'm sorry, and this is going to be a crazy take to the viewers. Top Gun Maverick was not good.
No, I'm with you on there. Top Gun sucked. I'm not a fan of it.
I'm not on that party, but it's overrated.
Okay. Yeah, it's overrated. It's the most overrated movie of last year.
Definitely.
Sure.
I think it's better than the original. I definitely think it's better than the original.
So,
but it's
was not like that does not deserve as much as hype as it get.
No.
Avatar: Way of the Water, that movie still doesn't exist. Even though I've watched
What do you mean?
You watched it. You done watched
it
multiple times. You're like, it still doesn't exist. That's right. Inform Dustin of what you told me all the way through last year while we were living together.
It's not like I'm a James Cameron hater, like for sure. I mean, like, he's made Titanic, which is like my favorite movie of all time.
It's just crazy, which is great. I love
but
that.
But it's like, again, like, I don't believe that this man had multiple sequels of Avatar after the first Avatar came out. I feel like, he was, again, his excuse was, Marvel was overshadowing right now. you could have dropped that movie. And, you know, and again, like visually, Avatar: Way of the Water looks fucking amazing.
Yes.
But like story plot wise, made no fucking sense to me at all. You know, Jake Sully kind of forgets that he was a human. You know, like 15 years that went by.
Yeah.
I'm assuming so.
The same amount of time in real life.
Yeah, you know, like I just really think that James Cameron just didn't have a sequel for a while. That's why he kind of just like gaslight everyone for like 15 years. And just like, yeah, we have a sequel coming up, and I have 3, 4, 5, and 6, and I'm just like, no. Like, so when I started hearing that Way of the Water was coming, I was like, that's hoax, fake news, fake news. And then the shit came out, and I'm like, still don't believe it. Like the movie was like,
I remember
the movie ends and you're like, I don't know.
I remember sending you a picture of the trailer when it popped up for whatever movie it was in front of. I sent it to you immediately, and you were like, "This movie still doesn't exist." Like, there was no.
Like I sat in the movie theater with him watching this movie.
Yes,
and
we
like,
watched it together.
I don't know what I'm watching right now.
Oh my god!
But,
yeah,
I mean, is it award heavy movie? If Avatar: Way of the Water gets like an award, we need to run back Endgame.
Well, it's winning visuals. It's winning visuals for sure.
Visuals.
Yeah.
For sure.
It looks visually amazing. For sure.
Yeah, absolutely. It deserves to win visuals. But like, I can see again. I see Avatar and Top Gun splitting up the technical awards for sure. But it won't win Best Picture. Best Picture is going to be. Dustin and I already talked about this. Best Picture is going to be either everything, Fableman's Everything Everywhere All at Once, or or Top Gun.
Or Banshees.
Banshees has climbed up as well.
Or Tar. Tar might.
Tar, I think, still is only at like 5 or 4. I think overall.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
But I think it's between Fableman's Everything Everywhere All at Once and Banshees. Personally, I don't think Top Gun's gonna get the fucking top spot.
No shot.
Yeah,
no.
It better not.
And if Avatar didn't win, why would Avatar 2 win?
But
you know
real quick,
I mean?
Dustin, so the Daniels winning the DGA, does that up their chances for winning director, or is this Spielberg's again? Or McDonough's?
I don't think it's McDonough's.
Yeah, because the best, aside from Ruben Östlund, like I feel like it really, the best director really has become a horse race at this point.
It's really between I don't think Field did Field get nominated?
Yeah, Field is nominated.
Yeah, I don't think it's between
Spielberg and the Daniels.
Yeah.
I could see the Daniels winning that. I really could.
I could too.
Yeah. It's definitely become like a lot more competitive. Like it's way more fun than last year. Last year was so cut and dry. I missed one award of the big 8, and that was original screenplay. I got everything else last year. It was like last year was so predictable aside from the slap. But this year is like going to be this year is going to be like definitely interesting to keep track of as far as the Oscars go, and then just as far as the rest of the movies go, because as far as the slate goes, this is the last big movie in February. We are into what I like to call like blockbuster spring, because like it's like all the good blockbusters that we used to get in the fall. In the summer are like now would like be split between like March and April, because just in March alone we are getting Creed 3, Scream 6, Shazam! Fury of the Gods, John Wick Chapter 4, Dungeons and Dragons, Honor Among Thieves, amongst many, many others that are also sneaking in there. And then in April we are getting the Super Mario Brothers movie Renfield starring Nicolas Cage, and a couple of others that I'm forgetting off the top of my head. Oh man, you guys are being Dontre, you're being haters. Come on, it's Nicolas Cage as Dracula. You want to talk about another movie that like you don't have to market at all? Oh, are you unaware of this movie? Are you unaware of this movie, Renfield, in which Nicholas Hoult portrays Renfield, who is attempting to distance himself from his master Dracula, and which Nick Cage portrays Dracula?
You know, I saw the trailer of this. Okay. My first thought of this movie, I was like, oh, is this just like a vampire version of the Sorcerer's Apprentice?
Yeah.
That's what I thought of.
That's understandable.
I like that movie.
That's a good movie.
I did like that movie, yeah.
That's an underrated movie.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know. I just feel like Nicolas Cage is one of those actors that's just like, you got to give it up, bro. Like, just
he's never going to. He self-admitted it. He is never going to.
I like Nicolas Cage.
Yeah, I still think he's got a few good movies in him. I really, really enjoyed Unbearable Weight of Massive Talent last year. That was good. And I almost forgot as well, that is followed up by the third feature film from one of all of our favorite filmmakers, Ari Aster. His third feature film, Beau is Afraid, opening up on April 20th.
You love Ari Aster, right?
Oh, I love him so much. Dontre, we watched his short film. What is that? The Strange Thing About the Johnsons Together. And that movie, oh my God. Do you remember that? Yeah.
That's a fucked up movie, dude.
I remember I showed you that and you were like,
my jaw was on the floor the entire time that movie was, and I'm just like, what the I'm like, but at the same time, I'm like, this explained everything about Ari Aster. This explains why he is so weird. I'm like, and this explains why I don't fucking like him. And I'm like, because he came up with something like this. He envisioned something like that and subjected me to that. Even if it was you and Josh and Noah's, your dumbasses, just sitting me through that. But also makes perfect sense that like the Josh would be into something like that. That would just be that just makes perfect sense overall. But like I said, this has gone way off the rails. This has been a blast. Dontre, Dustin, I already knew this was going to be like the greatest podcast already, possibly in 2023. And not just because we only talked about Cocaine Bear for half of this. So Dustin, you already gave us your final thoughts. Dontre, your final thoughts and star rating for Cocaine Bear.
I gotta give Cocaine Bear that 4 out of 5, man. That was really if I can really sit down, turn my brain off, and not be super analytical about a movie, which I mostly am, but a lot of things, I could enjoy it. I had good laughs. The deaths were just wild and out of pocket. Like that's kind of just it made me laugh multiple amounts of times. I had the movie theater kind of ecstatic as well too, because like just the side commentary. I saw it with Eli, so it was a good movie. Again, like for the first time ever seeing Elizabeth Banks directing, I think she has a really good, strong foothold in the director space, and I think the movie was just great. It was fun. It wasn't too out of pocket. It wasn't too far fetched. It wasn't like the original story was that the bear ate the cocaine, especially that amount, and just died. But the fact that it just became a super bear and Super Saiyan and just kind of went around, it was totally fine. Again, acting, superb cast. There wasn't really any shortcomings from any of the characters. I think they all really worked well together. I think they had a good time filming this, and I'm excited to see what else she can put out.
Yeah, exactly.
I think this is like her genre. And my last thoughts too. I was thinking about this the other day, and this is kind of a side topic. We got to go back to the era of like spoof movies.
Yes, but good ones before Zeltzker and Friedman ruined them.
Like, spoof movies, like to this day, my best spoof movie is Meet the Spartans.
Oh, that one?
It's funny. But there's other ones out there. He's looking at me like, what the fuck is this guy? Meet the Spartans. All time? Not all time, but like I have to remember all of them, but like
oh man. No, for me, it's always going to be scary movie. It's always going to be scary movie for me, easily.
Scary movie. After a while, like it just got like super saturated to me. Like they were just
because they just stopped being good. They just started being terrible. But you're right though. This does kind of come the closest to parody that we've gotten in a long, long time, and I think that's what makes it work.
We got to go back to that era of just parody.
I agree, but like they got to be good. That's the thing though. And I will say, as far as like the originator of most of that, Mel Brooks is bringing back his beloved History of the World for a part 2 on Hulu as well. But that I don't know how well that's going to come out. But History of the World Part 1 is a parody classic. But as far as my final thoughts go, 4 out of 5, same for me. This is an absolute blast. This is already the most amount of fun that I've had in the theater so far this year. We're only into February. This is one of the first few gems of the year. I can already tell. And I'm looking forward to hopefully some more surprises that may or may not happen at the end of the year. But what?
Tropic Thunder is a parody movie.
Oh my God, that's right. That's right. Wow. Okay. You know what?
Like that's fair.
You know what? You're 100% right. I can't believe I screwed that. You know why? Because I always think of it as just a comedy, and I just think of it as just this great movie that I forget that it is technically a parody. That's what it is for me. You're right. Thank you, Dustin, for calling me on that. As I've self-proclaimed the greatest comedy ever made, easily. And for the fact of Dontre, the amount of memes involving Robert Downey Jr.'s face, specifically Robert Downey Jr. arriving, it's like T'Challa has returned to Black Panther, and his face photoshopped on top. And then even better, when he rips off the helmet, and it's like, and it's him photoshopped on it. It's like, what do you mean, you people? And then it's like Thanos canceled underneath. That like those are like already two of the greatest.
Those memes I just shared, bro, it was hilarious. But again, like I love how that movie came out. What, 20?
Tropic Thunder, 2008.
Yeah, 2008.
That movie is 15 years old this year.
2008, and that movie's still getting backlash.
Yeah.
For RDJ playing blackface. I'm just like, you guys did not
understand
that.
You
didn't watch the movie.
No, they didn't watch the movie. They didn't understand.
He's playing a character that's doing a character that's blackface. Like, so it's just like, bro, like that is just it's fucking hilarious, And I'm glad Ben Stiller was like, listen, man, like, the movie stands, bro. Like,
Yeah, it really does.
wouldn't
It's a
change
classic.
anything
It is literally a classic at this point.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Like, and that's good. I haven't really seen much Ben Stiller like doing anything else past Trump.
Because he's moved to TV. That's why.
Yeah.
Because he's doing TV now. He did Escape at Dannemora for Showtime, which is fantastic, and he's doing Severance for Apple TV Plus, which is also fantastic. And he's weirdly transitioned into this amazing, just capable director. And like, I want to see him direct another feature film, honestly, but like in the style of that, because he's just really good at making these thrillers. But like I said, if this is a return to the genres that we love, then I say more power to them. So from myself, from Dustin, from Dontre, Dustin, where can the good people follow you on the interwebs?
Well, you can follow me on YouTube, Mr. G Movie Reviews. Maybe I'll post again one day. I might. I'm getting happier.
I'm telling you, man.
Then you can follow me on Letterboxd, Dustin Mason on Letterboxd, Duster on Twitter. Find me there. Also, Walk Hard's another great.
That's another
parody.
one that I was thinking. I was thinking about that one the whole time.
The song about midgets, the little "I'm Not There" parody. The midget, let me hold you, midget man. It's like fucking great. I love how that movie parodied "I'm Not There" before "I'm Not There" was even made. Like, that's hilarious to me. Like, did they just know that was filming? And they were like, let's throw this parody
We can
in
think
there.
about it this way, right? And this has been following like the track record of those, because you had Ray that did Walk the Line. I feel like it was those two that it was going after. And then I'm Not There comes out like right around the same time. And like, they don't even realize that they're doing it. Like, that's just beautiful synergy right there. Nice. Dontre, where can the good people follow you on the interwebs?
Instagram, Tarantino.fm. What the fuck is my Twitter?
You know what your Twitter isn't it Psyched?
No. My Twitter is World of Polaris. And that's it. So yeah.
Awesome. Yeah. And of course, myself at Movie Nerd Reviews across all platforms, at Talking TV Podcast across all platforms. Subscribe to us on YouTube. This episode will be available to listen to on Spotify tomorrow. This is easily our craziest episode yet. This is the perfect episode. This is the perfect energy that I could have wanted to emulate for this podcast. And so from all of us here at the Talking TV family, 12 seasons in a short film, and watch more fucking movies. We'll see you guys later.